Hello and welcome. Yeah, I'm here. It's very much a good and bad news day here at the Mythical Astronomy of Ice and Fire. Good news, just broke 40,000 subs, and let me mute the stream so I don't have a feedback loop. There we go. Very good. Yes, I've just crossed 40,000 subs. Thank you. Goose is happy and everyone is happy. It's been a long journey. And specifically, thank you everyone who has been watching the Dany video, who's the real Daenerys. It's doing really well, as I hoped. It is doing better than my last however many videos. It's reaching a wider audience, and that is awesome. That makes me feel very happy. And of course, there's probably nothing I care more about at this point emotionally, as far as the story goes. It's a tie between, Dany's character being validated and getting to see some moon meteors drop. Yeah, I'm equally invested in those two things. So it feels really awesome, guys, to have the Dany video doing well. You guys, I'm sure my love of Dany came through, but of course I tried to not just write a love letter to the character, but rather to really dive into what makes her tick. George, people have in the past commented. Goose, I left you out here. You said you were going to behave. He didn't say that. That's a lie. George has talked. People have complimented on George on his good female characters, and George sort of chuckles and says, "Well, I just think about my female characters as people and write them as any other character," which is kind of profound, actually. A lot of times in pop culture, female characters are exclusively female. Like, all of their plot lines have to do with their gender. They're frequently an adjunct to a man. They have to have a love interest, yada, yada, yada. There's mountains of analysis written about this kind of thing. But Daenerys, of course, she is a sexy dragon lady, and some people are blinded by that. But far more than being a sexy dragon lady, Daenerys, of course, is a champion for justice, and that's what I tried to focus on in my video. She's somebody that fights against injustice. She lays it all on the line. She courageously throws herself into the breach. There's so many things to look up to in the character of Daenerys, and that's what really moved me to do the video. And it's what makes me resonate with the character. It's why so many of you guys resonate with the character. I don't need to tell you that. So just thanks for all the great comments and all the support on the video. It's very, very fulfilling. And yeah, if you're just tuning in, this Dany video has put me over 40,000 subs, which is a nice fat number to cross. It's been a long time coming, so that's awesome. And I've got a super chat in here from Lord Luke Lightbringer. Can we get a video about Andalos? Oh, that's a good idea. I actually am very much looking for, ideas for topics that I haven't covered. So that's a good Ancient Andalos. Could be a good one. That's maybe one I could do. If you guys remember the Great Empire of the Dawn, Origins of the Dothraki, I did a lot of research about the sort of movement of peoples and how the Dothraki probably came over the Bones Mountains and all that. There are some clues about the Silver Sea and the origin of the Andals and the First Men. That could definitely make a good video, so that's a good idea. So we crossed 40K. The video's doing great. As you can see, I am coming to you in higher definition. You can see my follicle density and my skin spots and dark circles under my eyes from tech shooting, computer issues for the last 24 hours. It's a bit more red. Actually, I can control that. I can put the temperature back down. Oh, look, now it's more cool. Look, I'm in black and white. Yes, all kinds of things are happening. Where do I start? I'm coming to you in 4K. That's cool. However, I am streaming only on my laptop right now. I have had a mother of all computer issues which is a specific issue to the MacBook Pro 16-inch from the year 2019. State-of-the-art computer, $3,000 when I bought it just under 3 years ago. However, it's always had a problem with running hot. All the 2019 MacBook Pros, 16 inches, have this issue. It's a poor design issue. Hundreds of people have talked about it. It is exacerbated when you hook it up to a monitor. So usually when I stream, I have my laptop below me, and I use that screen for some information, and then I've got, you know, the computer above. I've got a 5K monitor that was actually an LG monitor designed for Mac. And long story short, I'll try to keep this short. When the laptop is plugged into an external monitor, it uses like 20 times the power that it should. Again, because of the poor design, it causes the CPU to spike, and that is what was crashing my streams. I've had a couple streams crash in the last couple weeks, and so right now I am. Here's me and my laptop, guys. I'm streaming, and it's like on my little thing here, propped up. You might have seen a Minty in the background. Bad news is that this computer is probably on the way out. It has always run hot, and it seems that has worn down the CPU. So I can currently stream with it without the external monitor. However, that is a pain in the ass, and it seems to be going downhill, which means that this computer is probably going to fail at any point. So I'm going to need to buy a new computer, even though I spent more than $3,000 on a computer less than 3 years ago. I'm also found out that, you know, running a laptop to do what I do is a little bit excessive. Laptop's only going to last a few years. I work on this thing all day. I'm doing Premiere and all kinds of intense stuff on it. So long story short, I'm having some computer issues. I'm going to need to raise some funds to buy a new computer, which is very upsetting. And yesterday was very, very stressful. However, I did not want to be stopped from streaming. Streaming is what I do. I bought a license plate that said streamer when I was 19, having no idea I would become a YouTube streamer. It is foreshadowed by my own life experience, okay? So I just crossed 40K, didn't want to be held back. Clay Thompson, that's right. My man, Clay Thompson, he has been injured as long as I've owned this computer, almost 3 years. ACL and Achilles injury. He's coming back today for the first time in almost 3 years. So it's a triumphant day. 40,000K subs. Clay is back. The Dany video is rocking. And we're not going to let some crappy computer issues slow us down. That's the moral of the story. So we're here and we're streaming. So the new computer fund, yes, it's paypal.me, Mythical Astronomy. Please, if you have any donations larger than like $10, please send it to the PayPal. The super chat is fun for smaller donations to get the question highlighted. But yeah, if you want to donate to the Buy a New Computer Fund, that's the place to do it. PayPal.me, Mythical Astronomy. The link is in the description below the video. And I'm going to have to put Goose back because he is very loud. I will. Come here, Gooseykins. Hi, buddy. Oh, you playing Dangerous Bird right now? Cool. I'll just get the stick. Hang on. Sometimes to pick up Goose, you need the safety stick. Come here, Goosey. Just as Aslan is not a tame lion, Goose is not a tame goose. He's a very handsome goose, though, as he's demonstrating. Oh yeah, preen it up. Show him how handsome you are, Goosey. Can you give me a kiss? Oh, look at that handsome bird. He's totally showing off. He's totally showing off. Okay, well, I'm going to go put this little harpy back in his cage. 1 second. So that's how we're doing it. Wheel of Time lore videos. That's a good question. So I did enjoy the first Wheel of Time season, and it looks to me like it has potential to get better, too. I liked a lot of things about the show. First episode, I was very shaky on. I was like, oh, I don't know about this. But I feel like it was good as it went on. Lore videos, I don't know. I've read the whole series, but it was a while ago. And I would have to definitely school myself back up. There is definitely some good mythology, a lot of Odin mythology and Matt's story and other things. There's Green Man stuff. So that's probably not. I'll probably keep it with A Song of Ice and Fire, but maybe. And there's definitely material there for sure. So that's a good notion. And let me just pull up something here. I do want to thank a couple of PayPals that came in earlier from Rena. Thank you, Rena, and Maureen. And there was one that came in yesterday from Melinda, a.k.a. Shadow Demon, and Kyle, and Liz. So thank you, guys. And gals, of course. Guys, I don't think... I was talking about this. I don't think guys is much of a gendered term anymore. Kind of like saying somebody's a bitch, right? It's not really a gendered thing anymore. Like anybody can be a bitch. Minty's offended. I guess whinging is the new bitching. You have to earn the title of bitch, she says. That's okay. That's fair. That's fair. You got to earn that shit. Don't go throwing that around, slapping that on any old person on the internet. Depends on the intent. That's probably true. It's probably true. So, we have find the mute button here. There. So once again, thank you for supporting the channel. I need you now more than ever, basically is what I'm saying. I'm going to keep pumping out the great content. Many of you guys have expressed tremendous gratitude for keeping the content going in the long night, the long winter until Winds of Winter comes out. I'm going to continue holding down the block for you guys, and thank you for your support, and I will continue to need it, especially as I try to buy a new computer. Along those lines, I will tell you that I did make some new Patreon tiers, and I did a little Patreon overhaul. Try to incentivize, some of this stuff. Carol Funk with a super chat. Thank you, Carol. So if I go to my home account, I'll do a little screen share. Yeah, I do tend to say y'all instead of guys, just because I don't enjoy overly gendered language. It seems kind of arbitrary and dumb. And y'all is fun to say, so I'm down with that. I'm from Virginia, so I can say y'all as much as I want. Y'all gonna like it. All right, let's see here. So I'll do a little screen share here. Oh boy, don't get me started. I'll get my nimble dick hat on. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. Lickety split. Yeah, so first 3 patron tiers. I did eliminate the $1 tier. If you've already pledged $1, you're good. I'm not having new people sign up for $1. If you're gonna do $1, I figured just send me like a super chat or something, right? It's easy. It's better to keep the patron a little more streamlined. So 5, 10, and 13. Those tiers are now Acolyte, Church of Starry Wisdom, Shadowbinder, and Priesthood of R'hllor. So instead of High Priest of Starry Wisdom, I went to Shadowbinder. It's basically the same thing, but I think it's a little cooler. And we needed some R'hllor priests. After everything we've learned about R'hlorism and how connected it is to the Shadow, I figured that would be cooler than the Sacred Order of the Black Hand. So there you go. One of the new tiers. Oh, let's see, all 12 levels. See what this Lucifer Lightbringer guy's up to. So the new tier is the $15 tier. Citizen of the Valyrian Freehold. As a Lord Freeholder of the 40 families of Valyria, you are a voting citizen of the mightiest and best-looking empire in the history of the world. Those volcanoes haven't erupted in 5,000 years. What could go wrong? Again, you look amazing. You're a citizen of the Valyrian Freehold. So that's the $15 tier. $19 and $20 tiers are, as you can see, Avatar of the Houses of Heaven and Guardian of the Galaxy. Those are referencing the Song of Ice and Fire versions of some of the major constellations. So hardcore astronomy there. And our top tiers have been White Walker, Green Zombie, and Dragon. Now, I did update the benefits. So Dragon paid, yes, there's more there's spoiler alert, there's more expensive patron tiers now. We need a new computer, friends. So tiers $50 and above, which includes this Dragon patron level. I think I have 4 or 5 dragons right now. The new perk is that you will get one-on-one stream hangout with me, like once every 3 months. This is, you can pick my brain on A Song of Ice and Fire, and also I'd like to get to know some of you guys that are supporting my program at a level so significant, because you basically are becoming a partner in this enterprise, and it's kind of stating a level of belief that, you know, I need to do a little more than just say thank you and send you a note. So I figure doing Hangouts is a good way. I remember people a lot better when I can see their face. It's a little bit of an ADHD thing. Everybody's like that, really. So if you're a Dragon patron, get a hold of me and we can find a time. We can hang out, do a little chat. And then if you really want to help me get a new computer and help this program grow, and you have the means, and you like to throw down and be a VIP, you can go for one of these 3 levels. So check this out. And I have no idea if anybody will sign up for any of these levels, but if you don't ask, no one will answer, right? So here they are. So for $100 a month, you can be one of 3 heart trees. So by your extreme generosity, you will be sacrificed so that a weirwood might be given a face. Your spirit will fuse with the tree, making it, and now you, a heart tree, capable of bestowing psychedelic powers to the green seers, or to 7-year-old boys who wander into the cave. Anyways, only 3 heart trees will be made in honor of the 3 planted by Qarth the Green in the High Garden Godswood. So that's the $100 tier. $200 tier is Moon Patron. Of course, there's only 2 because there were once 2 moons in the sky, as we know. So, one day the other moon will kiss the sun too, and one day, maybe, I'll have a moon patron. And then the most limited patron level is the Red Comet. There's only one. First sighted in 300 AC, the Red Comet heralded the birth of Dany's dragons and her fulfillment of the Azor Ahai Reborn prophecy. A similar comet brought the fall of the Long Night, some say. But will the bleeding star return, the harbinger of a new doom? Only the comet patron, should they rise, can say. So there you go. That's enough patron promoting. But I did want to let you guys know. So if you don't have $100 a month, you can cross your fingers for me that someone who does will decide to sign up. And then I'll accept that. I'll accept that offering of positive intent. So yeah, and like I said, anything $50 or above, and you get once every 3 months or so, do a little one-on-one time, a little FaceTime, you and me, Google Hangouts, whatever's clever. So, yes, welcome all the new people that are finding our channel. This channel is a happy place to hang out, where we treat each other with lots of respect, kindness, and courtesy. And if you're someone that likes to just sort of start arguments and stuff, this probably won't last long in the chat, is what I will say. Because this, however, if you are a nice person, welcome. You have found a place where everyone else is nice, and mean people don't get to hang out for very long. So that's our policy here. And yes. So, with that said, I have some notes today about Qarth and Vaes Dothrak, and I would like to. This is an open Q&A, so we're taking Dany questions, any questions really, but Dany-centric questions would be preferred. But any questions that you would like to pay me to answer, I will answer, because that's how this works. So I will open with a comment that came in from Instagram, from MJY. One parallel about the ending. Think about it. The entire story of Dany started with her sitting on the ruins of her political power when she was on the pyre. She had lost all political power with Drogo, who was expected to conquer Westeros for her, and she lost the entire Dothraki, who abandoned her. And she rose from the pyre with only the dragons and a new purpose. It's very likely that we'll have an ending, a very similar screenshot, where after the war for King's Landing, she will again sit on the ruins of political power, with the ruins of her army, and the ruins of essentially all the mayhem caused by the war. And she will again rise from the ruins with only the dragons and with a new purpose, to help Jon defeat the White Walkers, of course. That would actually be a great end of the series, and the same great scene that started her arc. So this is cool. This is obviously kind of what I'm suggesting in the video in a general sense. But this is a very cool level of detail, comparing it to the birth of the dragons, where in fact it was the ruins of her political power. It's pretty deep. It's pretty deep. I like that a lot. And another parallel with that pyre that I'm thinking about making a video about will be Jon's resurrection. Jon's resurrection should absolutely mimic Dany's waking of the dragons in Drogo's pyre, with Melisandre probably walking into the pyre as Dany did. It'll be Jon's pyre instead of Drogo's, and instead of the dragons hatching, it'll be resurrected Jon, the dragon, hatching. So I'm going to look for some symbolism and talk about that. We've got a tantrum building up over there. Is the tea ready by any chance? Excellent. Am I planning on making any more videos with Quinn from Quinn's Ideas? Lord Luke Lightbringer asks. Absolutely, Lord Luke. Hey, that's a cool last... Are we related? Dude, I think I have a cousin. How'd you get the fancy title? Lord Luke. Maybe I should be Lord David Lightbringer. Well, that sounds a little pretentious. I don't know. David Lightbringer's already pushing it. Yeah, totally, man. Me and Quinn are still buddies, and we live about 20 minutes away from each other. And yeah, he was on my channel a couple months ago, and we'll be on again. Absolutely. Cash App or Venmo? No, just the PayPal. But you don't need a PayPal account to send money to paypal.me. It's literally just a web link you can go to and do a one-time donation that way. Oh, a lot more than a 20-minute walk. Yeah, no, it's a 20-minute drive. Oh my God, I see a Casey Vickers PayPal coming in. Old school supporter. Thank you, Casey. And I see, oh, one of my patrons just edited their patron up to White Walker level. Thank you. I won't dox them, but thank you. Carrie Lynn. There you go. First name. I can thank the first. Thank you, Carrie Lynn. So yeah, another Dany point. And again, you can send in your Dany-centric questions via the PayPal or the Super Chat and just attach them. There's a comment section in the field of the PayPal. You can attach a question. So check this out. You remember the scene in the video I talked about Dany's vision. Come here, girl. Of Dragonstone. I was talking about how her concept of home gradually merges with Viserys' dream of retaking Westeros. And this happens in this passage where, you know, Jorah's like, oh, you want to go home? Look around you. It's the Dothraki Sea. This is your home. And she's basically like, it wasn't the Dothraki Sea, and it wasn't the house with the red door. It was Dragonstone and King's Landing. It was the Red Keep that Aegon Conqueror had built. In her mind's eye, the windows burned with 1,000 lights. In her mind's eye, all the doors were red. So I realize this is a very double-edged quote. And as Atlantis Morissette files into the chat, let's all thank her for the Qarth emoji. Those of you who have joined the channel with the join button to become a channel member, aka a squisher, have access to custom emojis. And Atlantis Morissette, I took the liberty of using your Qarth green for an emoji. And there it is. I assumed you'd be down with that. And so here, yes, you are suitably honored. Praise Qarth and Atlantis Morissette. And of course, you guys know Atlantis Morissette's artwork. She did the Gemstone Emperors holding the white swords with the glowing eyes that I used recently. She did that cool Melisandre edit where the Melisandre from the show looks all burnt and otherish. And she did a cool, Bonero and a cool Quave as well that I've been using a lot. So shout out to Atlantis Morissette at Atlantis Morissette on Instagram. No, I made it into an emoji. It wasn't. It is now. And Durndon did the... actually, no, it's not. I take that back. But this Weirwood paste is also an emoji. Oh, no, that is Durndon's Weirwood paste. Yes, totally. Durndon of the Night's Queen Melisandre theory fame. That is his Weirwood paste. Thank you, Durn, if you're out there. Think about this, all right? First of all, when Dragonstone becomes the House of 1,000 Red Doors, it's, like I said, a way of merging the idea of home, the house with the red door, with Dragonstone, which is the Targaryen ancestral home. However, and if you go to Dragonstone, the doors are in fact red. The grand door to the keep that Crescent walks through to join the dinner party right before he dies is a big red door, and it's a dragon's mouth, for what it's worth. I'm pretty sure it is a red door. I hope so. I think it is. In any case, so this signifies that Dragonstone, she's looking at it as her place of safety, her house with the red door. And when she says there's 1,000 lights in every window, she's talking about the light in the window that welcomes you home. Okay? And the thing is that 1,000 lights in the window, if we're talking about King's Landing, that kind of, the Red Keep, it kind of makes it sound like the Red Keep is on fire. If there's a fire in every window, that makes it sound like the whole building is on fire. And so you kind of get this idea that if Dany is looking to make Westeros her home and the Red Keep her home, that really could blow up in her face, right? That's what I've been saying, is that the true purpose of the dragons, Dany has this gift and a burden. She's the only one with dragons. She's the only one who can stop the long night. We need dragon glass and weirwood magic and stuff, but we're definitely going to need the dragons to neutralize the whites, if nothing else. Probably for more than that. So Dany's the only one with dragons. Thus, it is her sacred duty, essentially, to save the world with those dragons. Trying to, is as heartwarming as and touching as her dream of home is, it's a personal dream. And trying to fulfill that dream at the expense of not saving the world will, of course, cost everyone their lives. So this is why I say Dany's a little bit of a tragic character. She's never able to regain her home and safety, and she will never be able to create this happy kingdom. And to the extent that she tries to take over King's Landing, it could turn from the House of 1,000 Red Doors to the House of 1,000 Burning Windows, or doors that are red with fire, if you will. So I think George may be implying that double-edged, it's a trap sort of nature of trying to make a home of King's Landing, the Red Keep, and Dragonstone. They're mentioned all in the same breath, with the lights in the windows and the red doors. All the doors were red. So just wanted to point that out. So there's an ominous underlayer that I only noticed after I made the video, actually. So I did not include that. I saved it. And you know what else I saved? I almost went and put this back in the video, but it was already so long. I didn't even mention the time when Dany walks out amongst all the sick people and basically risks getting the what is it? The bloody mare, the pale mare. You know, it's an open question of whether or not Targaryens can get sick. We know a bunch of them have died of like winter fever and the spring sickness and stuff. So they're not immune from disease. They may have a higher resistance to disease, probably because their blood maybe burns a little hotter, being the blood of the dragon. We saw that with Araya and her parasitic worms. They were able to live in her body much longer than they would have, it seems, because she's the blood of the dragon and can withstand more heat. But Targaryens are not immune to disease. So Dany, and certainly Dany doesn't know. I think she thinks to herself that, you know, Viserys said that they don't get sick or whatever, and maybe Dany thinks she can't remember being sick. But they can die from the major diseases. So it's a pretty powerful image when Dany's walking out amongst the sick people, basically to give them comfort. She can't let them in the city because of quarantine issues, but she also she can't leave them to die out there. And so even if she can't save them, she's going to go out there and just let them know that her queen cares. Their queen cares is what she says. So another powerful character moment that I could have spent 5 minutes talking about that I didn't fit in the video. I didn't really spend much time on Dany crucifying 163 slavers either, but I just don't really think that's a black mark. I think you could argue that more humane form of execution, perhaps. I personally am against the death penalty in real life, of course, and I think that, you know, someone commented on the video, coming from a place of, you know, passivity and nonviolence, and saying there's never a right time to kill anyone, and that's a good argument. Here, sit down, bro. I won't disagree with that, because I am against capital punishment. I do think it's an interesting debate. However, in the context of the story, it's a medieval society. To the extent that any deadly force is ever just, I think killing slave masters is just. And not only, she's not killing. Well, okay, so when she crucifies the 163 slave masters, that's a retribution. It's a payback for the children that they crucified. When she kills the wise masters to free the unsullied, it's a little different, because that's not a retribution. That is an act of war. She's declaring war on the slave masters and basically saying the only way to end the slavery is to use fire and blood. And George has talked about this in Fever Dream. So I want to give a shout out to Guy H, who just became a squisher. Thank you, Guy. Lord Luke, real quick, says, do you think Dany is, real quick, just means mental note. I'm going to go somewhere else after this. That's really all it means. It doesn't mean anything about time. Do you think Dany is going to burn down King's Landing because of Old Griff's grayscale causing a plague? No, I don't think so. I do think the grayscale is going to spread, and that will be an issue. And there is an interesting precedent with one of the lords of Old Town, a Hightower, who locked down the city to prevent the Grey Plague from spreading. It was the wise thing to do, but his people killed him for it afterwards. So I do think there's tough decisions coming with that, but I don't think that it'll be like burning the city because it has grayscale. I don't think so. I think it'll be a series of disasters, essentially. Now, I've seen several generous PayPals roll in, which I want to acknowledge, and then I'm going to read to you a quote from George Martin that I probably would have put in the video if I had found before I did it, in all honesty. New patron, Max. Thank you, Max. Let me see if I can get these PayPals to update in my email. There we go. And, oh gosh. Was that? Oh man, Shadow Demon and Cinnabarb just raised their pledges too. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate that. Wow. I almost didn't stream today. I have to say, I was so stressed out over all this computer stuff. I almost was like, I can't do this. And I'm glad I did. Would have felt lame not to. Minty told me to do it. She's like, you'll feel better if you do it. And I was like, you're right, I will. So here I am. But thank you. I really do appreciate the support. So PayPal's Nathan, new computer fund. Thank you, Nathan. Super awesome. Incessant tapping. Oh, with a big old donation to help for the computer. Thank you. And a question. Cool. So I will circle back to this question about the others and the Weirwoods. It looks good after I read this George quote, because otherwise I will forget it. Let me just pull this up here. Oh, I saved it on my phone. That'd probably be faster. Where's my phone? Shoot, hang on. All right, like I said, I'm a little all over the place, so bear with me. But this really is awesome. So this is from Fever Dream, okay, and it's dealing with a character who has been thinking about slavery the whole story, and their view on slavery has become more extreme. They started off the story coexisting and tolerating it to some extent. And so here's the quote. You know, I never held much with slavery, even if I never done much against it neither. I would have, but those damned abolitionists were such Bible thumpers. Only I've been thinking, and it seems to me maybe they was right after all. You can't just go using another kind of people like they wasn't people at all. Know what I mean? Got to end sooner or later. Better if it ends peaceful, but it's got to end. Even if it has to be with fire and blood, you see? Maybe that's what them abolitionists been saying all along. You try to be reasonable, that's only right. But if it don't work, you gotta be ready. Some things is just wrong. They got to be ended. And that's it's interesting because this is long before he's written A Song of Ice and Fire. And the words fire and blood are flowing from his pen, right? In the context of ending slavery. Think about that. I don't know if this is the first place he's ever used that expression, fire and blood, but like I said, this is before he ever imagined Daenerys, before he wrote Targaryens, before he wrote A Song of Ice and Fire. He's using the phrase fire and blood to summon John Brown, to say, look, yes, nonviolence, yes, passive resistance, but there comes a point when something can only be ended with fire and blood. And if that's the case, so be it, because slavery is just wrong. You know, I mean, I don't need to talk about how wrong slavery is. It's, you know, the highest sin or crime is to violate other people's sovereignty. And slavery's about as bad as it gets. So just think that's a real powerful quote. And it also strengthens the case that we're supposed to see Dany as an abolitionist, that is her fundamental identity as a character. That is her role. That is her archetype. That is the way that she's using fire and blood. It also goes to what I was saying about Quaithe. When Quaithe is telling Dany, fire and blood, dragons don't plant trees. She's not talking about, you should really be queen. The Targaryens are better than other people, and you should sit the Iron Throne. That's not what the fuck she's saying. She's saying fire and blood. To go north, you must go south. To go west, you must go east. So Quaithe knows you've got to go west, you've got to go north. You got to bring fire and blood to save the world. That's what Quaithe is worried about. So if you look at the whites are the ultimate form. They are a magical form of slavery. That's what they are. That's what zombies are. And specifically, that's what the whites are in A Song of Ice and Fire. Yes, Dany does plant. I always love to point out that Dany does plant trees. She wants to plant trees. And if you want to say, she'll help sow the seeds that will flower in the spring, certainly. And I'm even open to the idea that maybe Dany doesn't die at the end of the story, but somehow retires to Essos or goes back to Slaver's Bay. I do think that is probably wishful thinking, but it could make sense with her arc. So I just want to update my predictions as to being open to that. I think magical self-sacrifice is where it's going, but the point is that one of Dany's final acts, whether she lives or dies, will be to free the whites from the magical bondage of the others. It's strongly implied that some part of the dead person's soul is trapped. It's a trap. Give me the trap emojis. When they're ice whited. So ending the other's ability to make whites is the ultimate act of liberating slaves. It makes sense as a way for her Fire and Blood to sort of find its conclusion in her arc. And that fever dream quote is a motherfucker, isn't it? So, George is generally anti-war. I think The Song of Ice and Fire could almost be described as an anti-war story, first and foremost. A Feast for Crows, especially. However, it's interesting that he's also saying, hey, sometimes slave masters need a little dragon fire, So, very cool. Very cool. Cleansing fire. Yes, that's the right word. Cleansing. The thing is, when you appoint yourself the wielder of cleansing fire, that's like you're holding yourself to a pretty high standard. So George is not going to create a character with that kind of power and not show the pitfalls and the temptations of misuse of that power. That's why I say that George is going to keep throwing more and more difficult situations at Dany until she figures it out. That ultimately the only real way to use her dragons is on the whites, and the others are magical monsters. They're not meant for enforcing supreme executive power over other people. So I just have confidence that she'll get there and that her story won't crash and burn with Dany like not figuring it out and just dying on the spikes of the Iron Throne. I just don't think that's a good story. So pretty sure that's not how it's going to end. I think the fun thing as a writer is you want to create a challenge that feels like the protagonist might not overcome, right? You want to raise the stakes as high as you can so that the reader feels the character is in peril. And Dany's peril is going to be succumbing to this temptation of trying to conquer Westeros, right? So George is going to walk her up to the brink. He's going to make it difficult, of course. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a good story if she just does everything right and has no struggles, right? She's been struggling the whole time. So to me, it seems pretty clear. It's like, no, Dany's not a perfect character. There is violence and a potentially darker path ahead of her. But is it ending? Is it just going to go downhill and end in villainy and disgrace and ruin? Like, no, of course not. Obviously not. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for the support. I feel the support coming from the chat. So yes, are we doing Magic of the East? Yes, totally. I've got some Eastern well, okay. Let me think about this. What I'm doing right now is Dany Q&A. I'm waiting for the Qs to come in. Let me see. If I don't have that many questions, I'll probably just dive into the notes on the East. Yeah. I didn't know how long I was going to be able to stream for energetically, just because, like I said, I've been stressed out and I didn't get a lot of sleep the last couple of nights and stuff. And I do have a decent amount of notes to read about Qarth and Vaes Dothrak. So I'm not sure if I'm going to dive into those or not, actually. I'm on the fence. Natasha with a very generous PayPal. Thank you. No question. So let's go ahead and go back for that White Walker question from Andrew. Incessant tapping. I've been wondering about the others appearing to travel through the Weirwoods. I referenced this, in a video a couple weeks ago. Is it possible they can travel at night only, and that they shelter in the shade of the Weirwoods during the day? Oh, that could make sense. Also, if they're invisible during the day, it would appear that as night falls, they emerge from the Weirwoods, when actually they were there all along, unseen, just as Jaqen was when he appeared to Arya from behind a tree at Harrenhal. No idea if there's good evidence for this. I'm just an amateur. Just something I've been thinking about. Okay, so what you're raising is the parallel of Jaqen in the Harrenhal Godswood. That's interesting. So the thing about that scene is that Arya puts her hand into the mouth of the Weirwood and is praying to the Weirwoods and sort of cursing them out at the same time. So she's trying to summon the old gods. And who should appear but Jaqen? Now, when Jaqen appears, he looks exactly like the Weirwood, or at least very close. He's got the red and white hair that's divided. Those are the colors of the Weirwood. And when he steps out from behind the tree, it's essentially like somebody stepping out from the tree. And again, when Arya was trying to summon the old gods. Now, Jaqen is a killer and a faceless man, and the others are described as nameless and faceless in the prologue. The faceless men have a lot of parallels with the others. You can also think of Lyanna as the Knight of the Laughing Tree. That's kind of like a Knight's Queen becoming an other or giving birth to an other. You can look at the Knight of the Laughing Tree as a symbolic other, like Lyanna's son, essentially. Like a Weirwood other son that's a warrior coming out of the tree. It's a similar with Jaqen. So yeah, the fact that he sort of steps out from behind the tree, but he was already there, it sort of does fit with the whole idea. Like I said, that the others are, like Tormund says, you can't see them, but they're still there, kinda, like shadows don't really go away. And it's hard, it's very vague and nebulous. So I've essentially suggested that maybe they can use the Weirwoods as teleporting hubs and essentially materialize near the Weirwoods anytime they want to. They could be able to materialize anywhere because it's implied that they're kind of fog and mist-like. And so potentially they can just materialize out of a cold mist anywhere in the northern lands. I don't think they have to walk everywhere on foot. So I've been speculating about this recently. I'm going to make a video about this, so I'll have to see if I can drill down on the specifics. But thank you very much for this question, Andrew, because I will go back to the Harrenhal scene with Jaqen and look at it in detail and see if there are some clues about how the others can use the Weirwoods to travel. So very cool. I'll have to give you a shout out. Greetings from Sweden. Emphasis on the weed. What's up, Jens? My man. Good to see you there. Oh, I'm sorry, girl. Have I been neglecting you? Cleo, come look. I gave you an emoji, girl. You have an emoji. Look, see, they're little Cleos. They're little Cleos. That's how special you are, girl. You're so important. Everyone knows you. Thousands of people know who you are, girl. Here, step down. Come on. Cleo doesn't like the word weed. Oh, no, I don't think that's it. From Gerald, 4-month squisher. By the way, if you join the channel membership and become a squisher, you get one free super chat message per month. So that's what Gerald has just used. So if you're a squisher and you haven't used that, you can cash that in for a question. Do you expect Dany to burn Volantis? I'm sorry, you expect Dany to burn Volantis, but aren't there still a lot of children and servants within the Black Walls? Will she just burn everyone? So, here, step down, girl. Step down. I can't put you on top of this computer. It's too small. It's too small. I usually put Cleo on top of my big monitor, and she can perch up there fairly safe. But, oh, she wants to get on the... Can you put her on the TV? Okay. Is it 420 yet? I think it needs to be. So yes, so here's the thing. The Theremin battery died. I need to get a new 9-volt battery. I could bring Goose out. Goose does a Theremin impression. But the Theremin, I need a new 9-volt. So I'll use your super chat to get a 9-volt. It's about $5, so that works out. Woo, 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 woo. Okay. So yes, here's the thing. That's why I mentioned the Widow of the Waterfront and the Relorist priests. Most of the slaves in Volantis worship Relor. When Jorah goes to the Red Temple and checks it out, he sees almost all are slaves. So the Relorist religion is a slave religion, or popular with the slaves, however you want to say it. The priests of Relor are slaves also. The Red Temple buys slaves and takes them into their temple. And I don't know, maybe if you're a slave, getting bought by the temple is like one of the best things that can happen to you. I don't know. Maybe that's why they're popular with the slaves, because they treat slaves well and make them priests and warriors and stuff. I don't know. I'm very anti-slavery again. But of course, this is more like Roman slavery here than American, slavery. So in any case, where was I? So, okay, so you've got most of the slaves that serve the high lords and slave masters inside the Black Walls. They're tuned in to the Reloris, and the Reloris are fomenting rebellion. They are pointing at the Black Walls and saying that the Dark Eye has fallen upon Daenerys. Daenerys is already a folk hero to the slaves in Volantis, and the Red Temple is proclaiming her Azor Ahai Reborn, basically Jesus Christ Superstar, come again. And so Dany is built up as a hero in the minds of the slaves of Volantis, and they are very much taking orders from the Red Temple. Then we have Tyrion and the Widow of the Waterfront. She indicates that the slaves there are ready to revolt also. And she says to Tyrion, tell Dany to come quick. We are waiting for her. So, between the Widow of the Waterfront, who is very politically powerful in the sort of underclasses, and the Red Temple, they should be able to have no problem communicating the mass exodus. Basically, all the slaves over the course of an hour or two are just going to disappear from all the wealthy mansions inside of Volantis. In places like this, the slaves will have back passageways and corridors that they use because the nobles don't want to see the slaves. So the slaves in a heavily stratified society like this, they'll be using their little back stairways and passageways, to do their regular work. So slipping out of the city is going to be pretty easy, I think. Certainly the nobles aren't going to be able to offer armed resistance. Remember, the soldiers are slaves too. So really, they're ready to leave the Volantis slave masters with their pants down 100%. Essentially, that's what I'm saying. So will there still be some collateral damage? Probably. You can't burn down a city without some amount of collateral damage. But for the most part, she's not going to look at the inner city and be like, well, there's slaves there too, but we've got to kill all the Volantines, so fuck it. She's going to be working in some measure of coordination with the Red Temple, which is why it might be important that Mcconaughey is in Slaver's Bay. So I definitely see Mcconaughey joining Dany's crew of advisors. I see that Liz, Queen of Geeks, has just become a dragon patron. Awesome. She was already a patron, but she upped the pledge. So thanks very much. You guys are coming through and making me feel a little bit less depressed about my computer meltdown situation. Oh, just by the way, I know some of you guys are tech savvy and might want to know more about the computer issue. So I will put this thread. This is basically all the people that have been dealing with this issue for the last year and a half with the MacBook Pro 16-inch and slaving a monitor to it. So I'll copy this link and I'll just open this stream up on YouTube and drop it in my own chat because that's how it seemed like the easiest way to do it. So there you go, guys. If anybody is curious and they want to see what kind of living hell I've been in, that is the thread. It will explain it. It's a very long thread. You can click most popular responses. That's probably the best way to get the idea of what's going on. That's for like 5 of you in the audience. So moving right along. How are we doing with questions? Have I missed any? Okay. Looks like I'm good. So I think what I'm going to do, my voice is pretty ragged. I'm going to blame mostly lack of sleep on that. I think I do have a bunch of notes about Qarth and Vaes Dothrak that I originally was going to present on Friday and then was going to do today. But I think I'm going to hold those and do another stream on like Wednesday. Sadly, my beloved Minty must temporarily return to her native continent of wallabies and marsupials on Monday or Tuesday. Is it Monday or Tuesday? It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It's very sad. It's the next step we need to be together forever. We are engaged, and she's coming back to America. But first, she must return to the land of marsupials. So on Wednesday, I'm going to be a little sad and lonely, and a live stream would be just the thing, I think, to pick me up. So I will hold my Qarth and Vaes Dothrak notes for Wednesday and continue to take questions today, as long as you guys have them, which is a little less stressful than reading. But what I did is I went back and read all the scenes in Qarth and Vaes Dothrak, which are very early in the series. So a lot of you guys probably haven't read them in a long time. I noticed some things about Vaes Dothrak and Qarth that I hadn't noticed before. And so I wanted to talk about them just as an interesting point, and also because I think some of it may come back into play when Dany returns to Vaes Dothrak with Drogon to do the stallion that mounts the world fulfillment. Which, spoiler alert, is coming in the next book. So that was what I was going to talk about. Yeah, I'm going to go visit Australia, but we did think about making a home in Australia, but unfortunately I can't bring the birds. Even though one of them is from Australia, you can't bring it back in because just they have really tight wildlife rules. Obviously, Australia has very unique wildlife, so you can't bring parrots into the country at all. So until I figure out who to bribe, email me if you know who to bribe. Let me know. But other than that, it's California, and California's a pretty nice place. Minty likes it okay. Seems like. It's not Australia, but it's pretty cool. Oh, I'm definitely going to visit Australia, though. You better believe that. I need inspiration for my fantasy, writings of the future. So, rugged continent of killer animals, tall cliffs, and barrier reefs sounds like just the thing. Oh, wow. Look at that. Another very generous PayPal from What does this say? Twin Ponds Nursery. All right. Shout out to Twin Ponds Nursery. Sorry, the emails are a little behind my phone. My phone tells me first. So let me see if there's a question coming with that one. Okay, so Keenan has a question. When it comes to the eerie music in your videos, is there a place or soundtrack that it's from? I do a lot of maladaptive daydreaming, and it helps sometimes. Yes, I have a SoundCloud with all my space music on it. It's got like 5 subscribers, but it exists. Let me just look it up real quick. It's Lucifer Means Lightbringer on SoundCloud. Predictably. Here it is. Yep, you can get I should put my funky Game of Thrones theme on here too. Although I'm eventually going to put that on YouTube by itself. But here is my SoundCloud, and this has all of my space tracks on it, which I make with bass guitar and many effects pedals, several loops sort of over top of each other. Yeah. Shout out to Brisbane. Bring back a didgeridoo. Might be tough on the plane, but maybe we could get it shipped. Those things are awesome. Yeah, I would do that. I'm into it. I have pretty big lungs, despite all the weed I smoke. Demonetized. Banned. Shadow banned. Grey Waste Tim, using the free super chat to tell Dave if he goes further east to bring me back. I'm your Sherpa over the bones, through the forts, into the Grey Waste. Ah, Grey Waste Tim. Of course. Of course. Figures. I will need a Sherpa to go that far east. That's a good point. Let's talk, Grey Waste Tim. Daenerys' big knees theory. What's that? I tend to be a sativa hybrid kind of guy. Save the indica for the end of the day. I smoked sour diesel exclusively for years because I grew it, and that was like, it's actually what a lot of people would know as Headband. It's a New York sour diesel. It's a nicer cut of sour, back crossed with the chem. For those of you who know what that's about. Dan's new printer. Is there any Bering Strait-like possibility where Quaithe, to go east you must go west, quote, could be literal? It's possible that George was thinking that originally, maybe. Because he said originally he was going to have Dany go to Shy, but he changed his mind. And instead, I think we're going to get the glass candle communication. That's why Marwyn is bringing a candle to Slaver's Bay. Shout out to a Glass Candle Sorceress video that I made in my Dany playlist, so that Dany can have a glass candle and communicate with Quaithe better, maybe look for her own truth in Asshai. But whatever Dany was going to learn in Asshai, she's going to learn remotely. So I don't think she'll be doing the around the world the other way thing. I do think George wants to play with the idea that maybe the Great Empire of the Dawn did that, or that maybe people found a northern passage. Maybe the others came down into the Grey Waste, and those are the line of night demons. I think he wants us to think about those things, but it's purely like for fun, I think. World building, if you will. World building's important. It's not just for fun. It is fun, though. I love world building. From James, dragons and magic have been getting more powerful. What about the others? Yeah, they seem to have started stirring at least 10 or 15 years ago, because Mance's consolidation of the wildlings was spurred on by the others stirring. And Craster's been giving his children to the White Walkers, presumably for about 20 years or so. Are the White Walkers going to get more powerful than they already are? Well, yeah. How much more powerful? I think that when the long night falls is really the thing they're waiting for. Obviously, it eliminates the limitation of them not being able to move around and exist during the day. That's the main thing about the long night. However, I do think the comet brought some magic back. The existence of the dragons brought magic back. I think anything that's big and magical works as an amplifier. And that's what all that hinge of the world shit is about. Like, I do think the wall was probably built along like a magical ley line or something like that. The fact that the Night Fort Weirwood was already there in all likelihood is a big clue about that. But I think that once you build a big magical object like the wall with magic, that it's going to increase it's like gravity, basically. The more mass, the more gravity. That's how I think this works. The more magical stuff is gathered in a location, the more resonance it has. This is possibly why the Doom worked the way it did. You know, all the magic used to keep the volcanoes banked. Once it failed, had like a rebound effect. And so I do think the others are getting more powerful with the dragons, with the comet returning, but mostly with the long night falling. And I think that potentially as the world gets frozen, they will get tougher to deal with. Yeah, that makes sense. And as far as the abilities go, it's what I was saying earlier about the teleporting. I think they can not only spy out of the Weirwoods or just spy in general. I think they can use the Weirwoods to travel. And that once the long night falls, they could potentially start appearing in God's Woods that aren't warded. I do think like Winterfell is warded. Stone's End is warded. So probably the God's Woods inside of the castles will be warded against it. But if the wards are broken, or if there's Weirwoods out in the wild, they might be able to use those. And there are Weirwoods in the Wolf's Wood and other places. Yeah, and Twin Ponds Nursery did not send a question, just a donation. Thank you. You guys are super coming through for me today. Feeling the love. So's Goose. You can hear him in the other room. Henbot, I've been reading Dragonbone Chair. It took like 11 chapters for me to get into it, but I can see a lot of influence on George Martin and the others. But it's also pretty compelling on its own. Yeah, that's, of course, Tad Williams' Dragonbone Chair. Anytime you read fantasy from a certain long time ago, it's going to feel like it, was written a while ago. But everybody speaks highly about that series. And I've read a different Tad Williams series called Otherworld that was really interesting and imaginative. It was kind of science fiction fantasy. And George speaks very highly of Tad Williams as a big influence. So yeah, if you want to see the influence on A Song of Ice and Fire, check out Gray Area's Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn playlist. That is the place to go. The Fantasy Network. Appreciate you, brother. Fantasy Network, you have a YouTube channel. Do you not? Why don't you share it in the chat there? Maybe I can look it up. I'm not sure if it's the same name as you. It sure is. It's called the Fantasy Network with 2 T's. N-U-T-T work. Oh, we'll share it. Boom, ski boom. There it is. 4:17. That 3 minutes is a long 3 minutes. Oh, look at you. Just so Fantasy Network looks like lots of book reviews. Yes, book reviews. That's what we've got here. Fantasy books, top 10 books of 2021. Very cool. Very cool. Steven Erikson. Yep, I've read a bunch of Steven Erikson. Cool. Good stuff, Jimmy. Good stuff. No, it is not an adults only channel. No, it is not. No, it is not. Good question, though. Good question. Yeah, and this stream is super stable because I don't have a monitor plugged in. So that's definitely the issue. Wow. What a freaky thing. Yeah, Minty did have the good troubleshooting tip, like 10 hours deep. She's like, what if I found this article. Yeah, you did. You found the article about the issue with the external monitors being plugged in. Yeah, nice job. For a Luddite, which is both of us, basically. I'm only slightly more tech savvy than you are, which is to say not very. Sir Meowkins. Oh, you were the Twin Pawns and tried to send the question, but they didn't appear. Oh, yes, so just repeat them here. Smart fellow, Sir Meowkins. So, number one, do you think, and thank you, by the way, do you think Dany will burn Qarth now that they're at war? Ooh, I didn't think about that. It's in the wrong direction, so probably not. Although I wouldn't want to gamble on the safety of any Qarthine ships in Slaver's Bay. So the Qarthine fleet could get burned, but no, I don't think she backtracks to Qarth. But Qarth, that's the thing, is Qarth has sent their fleets to Slaver's Bay. They have joined in the fight because they depend on the slave economy too, as Zaro explains to Dany. And number two, will the abolition of the slave trade affect magic in the East? I don't see why it would. What is the premise that you're thinking there? Maybe by repressing all those people, they're repressing magic users that maybe will now get to use magic. I don't think so. It seems like magic is stronger in the East in general. I think mostly the abolition of the slave trade foreshadows Dany ending the slavery of the whites, the magical slavery of the whites. So burning the slave masters to free the slaves, burn the others to free the whites, seems to be how it works. So let me do let me get something to share while I do my Qarth break. I'll show you Qarth while I'm praising Qarth. Ah, yeah. Noisy neighbors, they won't shut up there. Noisy neighbors, but they're moving out in 2 months. All right, here we go. 1 second, folks. Praise Qarth and praise Qarth. Oh, this is by Archilol. Oh, you can see the name right on top. All right. I'll even zoom in on this art a little bit so we can behold the glory. In high definition, that's right, 1080p. We can see all the detail. Very cool artwork. Very cool. And, you know, the other one that I just found that's super nice, I did use it in the video, but I'll show it to you again. 1 second here. It is Astapor. This one by Mark Molnar. Yeah, check that out. That is stunning. Stunning. Wicked looking harpy over the gate. I just love how thick the walls are. Like that looks about right. The pyramid in the background. So most artists do marine, so it's good to have an Astapor officially. Let's see here. And we're back. All right. So again, if you're joining late, we've crossed 40,000 subs. Thank you. The Dany video is rocking. Thank you. My computer is on its last legs, and many people have donated to my PayPal today to help me afford a new computer, so thank you. I'm feeling the love, and like literally I'm feeling emotionally better. It's been a rough 48 hours. Live streaming is my bread and butter. To have the live streams failing underneath my fingers was very disconcerting. Then to not be able to solve the problem after like 13 hours of troubleshooting yesterday, that was rough. So that was definitely making me like just feel like, God, how do I even do this? So now I know what the problem is, and you guys are helping me rally to buy a new one. So I just really appreciate it, guys. You guys are awesome. So I'm very thankful today, and really just so glad that the Dany video is doing well. If the Dany video didn't go well, we don't have to talk about that because that didn't happen. But it's rocking and rolling, so I hope that it will continue to echo out into the world and affect the conversation about Dany, which, as we know, is struggling in some corners of the internet. Stephanie with a PayPal, showing support for my favorite YouTuber. Oh, thanks, Stephanie. Gosh, thank you. Look at this girl. All these people. They love us, girl. I think you're helping. Cleo makes me more like, you know, relatable. Well, not relatable. Nobody has parrots. What is the word? Yeah, I don't know. It offsets my resting stern face. How about that? That I sometimes have. Michael James with a super chat for the computer fund. Natasha, do you think the Qarth, the Qarthine, the Cath people, the Qarthine, that's what you meant, could have existed alongside the Great Empire of the Dawn? Yes, good question. Do the Undying give us any clues about the Dawn Age? Yes. This is what I want to talk about on Wednesday with the with this Magic of the East notes that I have that I'm going to hold for them. So I will get into it a little bit. The Tourmaline Brotherhood is one clue, because of course we know one of the great emperors of the Great Empire was the Tourmaline Emperor, which is more likely an entire dynasty of ruling monarchs that use the name Tourmaline. It does seem like that's the most likely truth behind the Gemstone Emperors, is that each one is a dynasty or clan, ruling family, something like that, right? So the Tourmaline Brotherhood is very interesting. It seems like maybe the Tourmaline emperors were very wise and wrote a lot of philosophy. Maybe they were philosopher kings, and their ideas have survived in the form of the Tourmaline Brotherhood. Qarth is right on the edge of Great Empire territory, and if they're anywhere near as old as they claim to be, they would have either been a part of the Great Empire, or they would have sprung off from remnants of the Great Empire. They would have, I think they existed at the same time and rose to prominence afterwards. The Qarthine also used to have an empire in the Red Waste. All those ruined cities used to be part of a civilization that included Qarth. But I want to save that for Wednesday, so that's all I'll say about that. But thank you, Natasha, and you're very smart. You're asking the right questions. I also think that before George fleshed out the Great Empire of the Dawn idea, he was using Qarth as a way to sort of build up some of those ideas. Because you remember the Undying, when they presented their very glorious false image to Dany, they were wizards and kings with gemstones in their armor, and they said, "We sent the comet to show you the way, and we know the speech of dragonkind. Would you like us to teach you?" So I've always said that essentially I think the Undying were trying to present Dany with an image that she would find persuasive. So they were posing as the original Dragon Lords of Ashai, the Great Empire of the Dawn, to the best of their memory. That's what they were trying to look like. And Dany sees those Gemstone Emperors in her Wake the Dragon dream in a Game of Thrones. So I think George is building on this idea. He wants us to see these rich gemstone-studded wizards and kings, and maybe think of the gemstone-eyed kingly ghosts that Dany saw, because the kingly ghosts have Valyrian hair, and these Qartheen, this false image of the Qartheen undying, they want to teach Dany the speech of dragonkind, and they sent the comet to show her the way. So that's Bloodstone Emperor stuff. That's Ancient Ashai stuff. Sending the comet, knowing the speech of dragonkind. Yes, these are strong links to the Great Empire and Ashai. So, Blood of the Dragon. George recently posted that he's seen the first episode and that he thinks it's good and that we are safe to build anticipation and hype for it, and that the show is in good hands with the showrunner Ryan Condal and his team, presumably, which does include women this time. By the way, a famous problem with Game of Thrones is they had no female showrunners or writers or anything. Just a bunch of dudes telling Sansa to be grateful for how rape makes her strong and stuff. Wow. Yeah, that's why I took those pot shots at D&D about too many mad queens and all that. I mean, I didn't want to go into the sort of political side of it, but it's pretty misogynistic. It's pretty ugly. It is. So let's see. So yeah, Dany, the one who sees Dany as the Amethyst Empress is Euron, Betha of House Blackwood. Euron is the one who says Dany's eyes are amethyst, and he talks about golden gods with gemstone eyes that he's seen. So I think that that's a clue that Euron wants to use Dany for blood magic. He wants to steal her dragons and take her life for magical purposes, which is exactly what the Undying wanted to do, it seems. They wanted her fire and life, and they were trying to vampire suck her or something like that. So I think it's a direct parallel between the Undying and Euron and what they want from Dany. But Dany's also an Azor Ahai figure as well. And the thing is, Nissa Nissa and Amethyst Empress, they are slain figures, but Nissa Nissa is implied as a Jesus figure, someone whose sacrifice saved the world. And I think that layer of truth will apply to Dany and Jon. Jon also has Nissa Nissa symbolism. They both have Azor Ahai and Nissa Nissa symbolism. And the answer to that is it's an alchemical principle, because we're supposed to, it's all about the fusion of things to make a third thing. Male and female join to create a harmony of opposites. Black and white, ice and fire. It's the song of ice and fire. The song of ice and fire is a merging of opposites. So we see our heroes combining male and female archetypes and symbolism for that reason. Let me catch up with some of these PayPals that are coming in. Oh, is it 420? Oh, look, it's 4. No, it's not. It just was. Let's see. Update, damn you. Come on, email. Yeah, I got Stephanie's already. I'll just wait a couple minutes. It'll come in. Oh, and there was a PayPal back there, too. Let me pull that up on the document. No PayPals go missed here. Thanks to my wonderful assistant, Miss Minty. Assistant / fiance / many other things. Marsupial Queen of Down Under. Let's see. Will I be reviewing the Blood of the Dragon episode? Oh, okay, I did see it somewhere in the back of my mind. I knew somebody asked about it, but yes, Taco Guy, 1988. Thank you. Yes, I will. So I was just saying, I am. Thanks, girl. Thanks. Hang on. I've just been blessed by the bird. Come here, girl. what was that sketch comedy show 15 years ago? They had some skit where the punchline was "for me to poop on," and it was like somebody walked into every party. I think it was that the state, or am I getting? That's the "I want to dip my balls in it" sketch. The "for me to poop on," what is that? That's from something. Triumph the Insult Comic Dog. Thank you. Yes. Don't laugh. See, people know my references. I'm not old. Sure, Gramps, she says. Which is, of course, a Conan skit. Yes, thank you. Let's give credit where credit is due. Conan O'Brien. All right. Well, yes, Cleo pooped on me, so I had to go take care of that. So, Blood of the Dragon, I'm cautiously optimistic, guys. That's what I can say. It's not D&D. D&D really, I think, are to blame for most of the mistakes, guys. I really do. I mean, the acting was good. Individual episodes and certain scenes were directed well. The dialogue was good when they took it from the books. But D&D really monopolized all the plotting. And that's where the issues were, the character consistency. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm definitely going to talk about it. If it's bad, I'll talk about that a little bit and then probably let it go. If it's halfway decent or good, I'll probably cover it, weekly, just like everybody else will, and enjoy it and have fun with it. I mean, it's going to be hella dragons and Targaryens, y'all. So, I mean, I'm going to want to see that. Who's not? I mean, y'all, everyone's going to watch. Come on, don't tell me you're not going to watch. The question is it going to make us whinge and cringe? Or is it going to make us be like, oh, okay, that's not bad? Or even like, oh, and totally redeem yourself. That's a Dumb and Dumber reference, of course. I can't help but be a little excited. So we'll see. Maybe I'll talk some Dance of the Dragons, Targaryen Civil War to sort of get ready for it. Let's see if those last PayPals PayPals have been updated. Come on, email. I don't know why it's being so slow. I'll just go straight off my phone. Let's see. Activity. There we go. From Nathan. That's what I was looking for. So Nathan asks, I think Dany wants to go to Vace Teloro. Oh, okay. And then a note about his name. Okay, got it. So when you say go to Vace Teloro, you mean like that's where her story will finish? Is that what you're talking about? I don't think she's going to go back towards Qarth or in that direction. But I don't know. I mean, I almost could see that. She leaves Westeros, she saves the world, and everybody hates her, and she's like, "Well, fine, fuck you guys," and then literally goes back to Vace Teloro and like makes it the oasis in the desert that she wanted to. That would be like a sweet little poetic ending. Again, probably wishful thinking, but it kind of makes sense. I would almost see her going back to Slaver's Bay, but maybe if Slaver's Bay, if she's left it in good hands, that she just leaves it alone and makes her own little happy kingdom in Vace Teloro. Oh, I love it. Sure, let's go with that. I know Minty likes it. She's on the Dany shouldn't die train. One second. I have a request. I've been requested. Okay, so Shadow Demon has requested a Minty appearance, wants to see the ring, and yeah, I was doing some behind the scenes talk. I was muted on purpose, actually. But yeah, Minty's gonna make her way on the camera here in just a second. And yeah, so be patient. But yes, Shadow Demon, you have summoned her. Take your time. Shadow Demon very cleverly, the first line of the message was read before talking. I was like, okay, that's always a good one to do. Do you think the Lion of Night story and the White Walkers are connected? Yeah, so that's what I was talking about earlier. It said that during the long night in the east, the maid of light, or the sun, hid its face, and something called the Lion of Night came out, and his demons punished the earth. And we're also told that the 5 forts were built to keep the demons of the Lion of Night away, which is interesting because the 5 forts were built before the long night, so it implies that there were demons of some kind before then. So we're not really told what kind of demons those are. The others are ice demons, essentially. So the Lion of Night demons, I would say they are either the others or they are a different manifestation of something similar in Essos. But if you go out, if you get a Sherpa like Grey Waste Tim to take you out into the Grey Waste, the Grey Waste is described as a freezing desert. So there are some cold places east and north in Essos. And if you go far enough, potentially it could wrap around, to the North Pole, so to speak. Kind of like your Russia-Alaska connection. So let's see here. Here, great way. You can book your travel adventures with Grey Waste Tim Travel Agency. Slots are filling up. Call today. I should do something with your patron name, Grey Waste Tim. This is a good gig. I think we can work this bit a little harder. Of course, you can check out Grey Waste Tim on the Secret of the Crypts live stream from this past Halloween. Grey Waste Tim with a strong mythical astronomy debut. Very strong. Karina with a thank you super chat. Thank you, Karina. Oh, no, sent me one. You always have good questions. There it is. Thanks for calling my attention to it. Blood for fire, fire for blood. Those are the words of the Dragonbinder horn, of course. The Warlocks had the horn. Oh, so the question is, where did Euron get his horn? He says he got it from Valyria, but we know he ran into some Warlocks, too. Some people definitely think he got either the Valyrian armor or Dragonbinder, potentially, from the Warlocks, or just maybe somewhere else besides where he says it is. So maybe the Warlocks have the blood of the dragon in their blood artificially. Well, okay. So I have said that the others are like frozen blood of the dragon. If Night's King is the Dragon Lord, and Night's Queen is an icy priestess woman like Melisandre. She has cold skin and blue eyes before anything happens with the Night's King. Night's King, Azor Ahai, in my opinion, gives his blood of the dragon to the icy womb of Night's Queen. From that mixing of magical blood comes the others, who are, nothing burns like the cold. They have star eyes that burn, almost like fire entities, but flipped cold, right? So, that being the case, if the Undying were the lineage of Dragon Lords somehow, that would be from the Great Empire of the Dawn, it would have to be, that would fit the parallel. And perhaps that is why they are inviting Dany and her dragon into the House of the Undying and thinking that they can essentially capture her and drain her magical essence. Perhaps they wanted to capture the dragon or thought that they could use that dragon power somehow. So, yeah, that could be. I would say that that's pretty far afield and not something that we'll probably ever find out about. But it could fit with the idea that Qarth is a remnant of some Great Empire of the Dawn culture, or received an influx of Great Empire of the Dawn refugees when the Great Empire collapsed. That definitely would have happened. And those neighbors are something else, aren't they? Oh yeah, Carcosa. No kidding. True Detective. Yeah, I saw True Detective, at least that first season. Boy, that was good. Huh. Yeah, definitely when they started talking about Carcosa, I was like, "Oh, that's not good, guys. Whatever that is, it's not going to be good." And it wasn't. That was awesome though. You would love that. Have you seen True Detective?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's who are the actors in that? It's I'm so bad at remembering names. Matthew McConaughey steals the show for sure, and the other character is Woody Harrelson. That's it. Yeah, Matthew McConaughey is like a good cop that uses bad methods, and he's spent his life infiltrating like the Klan and stuff. So he's knows how to like relate to Klan people, but is against them. There's a very interesting dark character, and yeah, it's really good. That is really good. So Euron's Valyrian armor. I really feel like Jon should wear that. You know, he's got that dream of being armored in black ice, and Ned's Valyrian sword is called Ice, and it's black. So black ice, Valyrian steel. If you're gonna fight the others, that's the best use for Valyrian steel armor. But yeah, maybe Dany can wear it. I would think the size difference between Euron and Dany is probably too big. I don't know how easy it is to like take in the armor. You get the breastplate unstretcher. I think that'd be probably it's for Jon, if anybody. Oh, really? The actors in that show were supposed to be the other way around? Oh, I'm so glad it wasn't. McConaughey killed it. I could see why you would cast Harrelson for McConaughey's part. But once McConaughey went there, wow. That must have been almost like scary to work with him. He was so in character. Yeah, proper armor needs to be custom made for you. So, does anyone know if Euron is short? Because Jon is short, canonically. Valyrian steel is very dark gray. That is correct. However, somebody that wielded Ned's ice bore the nickname Black Sword, Barth Blacksword. That's a lord of Winterfell from the last 400 years. He would have used ice against the Skagosi, I believe, putting down that rebellion. So yeah, we can regard it as black, even though it is very dark gray. It's basically the same. And it's also following in the tradition of black swords like Gurthang and Anglicel and Stormbringer and stuff, as we discussed in the Lightbringer series. So the Valyrian armor is scale armor. I don't know if that makes a difference as far as how easy it might be to adjust the fit. Talking about the fit of armor in the weeds. I think scale armor probably would be easier to alter than plate. It seems like. But I don't really know. Yeah, just take out a few scales, right? Sew them back together or something. I don't know. It'll be plot armor. Let me see here if this is... Oh, I just got a notification that Klay Thompson has taken the court in warm-ups. Ah, that's a good feeling. Good old Klay. Yeah, bronze Jan's Royce is pretty awesome. But Euron's armor also has glyphs in it, too. It's not just Valyrian plate. It has glyphs and whorls and arcane symbols. So it's pretty fucking cool. The armor ranking. So on the bottom is linen. Then you go up to scale, then plate, and then plot. Plot armor being the best. Yeah, Valyrian steel, it's the lightweight. Again, that would be super awesome. You know, yeah, plate armor has to be a perfect fit is to maintain mobility. But with Valyrian steel in a scale armor, that would be very mobile. So, yeah. Cool. I've got some metallurgists and medieval historians in the chat. All of Euron's gifts are poison. Ah. Is it a gift if you take it from his cold, dead hands, though? Yeah, Longclaw's feather light in Jon's hands. That's right. I just got one. Let me see this. Oh, man. I wish they... Sorry, I get a little notification in the corner of my computer that tells me it's coming, and then I have to wait a minute to actually see the email with the comment. Somebody was saying you could take a belt and just wrap it around the scale armor and just sort of cinch it up. Can you? Minty, you gonna come show him that ring? You ready?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, okay. You were hoping people were gonna forget? Yep, you were. Come here, darling. Hello, people.
Hi. I'm real, everyone.
She's real, yes. Yes, she's real. I told you. No.
I'm camera shy, so that's why I haven't really
Well,
been
let's
here.
show them your
My
beautiful...
nails are gross at the moment, guys, but... Oh, where's the light? Oh, how's the camera work?
So,
There we go.
yeah. We gotta hide the faces.
I hope that worked.
It's a topaz. It's a topaz, which is the December stone. Was when we got engaged.
If you want.
And it is blue like the sea. That
Like
was
the sea I had to cross.
like the sea she had to cross. Can we get the camera to focus? It never works. This one in particular is hard to get to focus. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway.
It's on her Instagram if you didn't want people on. Anyways.
If you try to follow my Instagram and I don't know who you are, send me a message so I know who you are, because otherwise I just decline them, guys.
So.
Because I'm not internet famous like some people.
So this is my stag princess. She looks good with the antlers.
Here you go.
All right.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Thank you, darling. That's better. Yes. Oh, I can feel the stag energy in me now. It's excellent. So there you go. We're real. Our patron dollar's hard at work. Yes, thanks, guys. All right, so let me see if this thing is updated yet. Maybe if I just go and log into PayPal, I can see him quicker. Truly the bear and the maiden fair.
Oh.
I don't think it's nice of them to call you a bear, sweetheart.
I know. How mean.
Okay, looks like I'm up to date. Yeah. We were thinking sapphire originally, but the topaz really just was calling. And it was the December stone, so we just figured that was the way to go. Yes, thank you for embarrassing Minty. I enjoyed that thoroughly.
I did say I'd come on at 40k, and it's 40k.
You did, yeah, you did. 40K and all this support from the powers that be, the patrons that be. Liz went ahead and became a dragon today. Rah. I love making dragon names. Those are the best. So, guys, I will, like I said, if you have any more Dany questions, I'll take last call. Then I'm going to go watch a Warriors game. We'll do a stream on Wednesday so you guys can keep me company when I'm by myself. And I can update you on the computer search. Pretty sure I'm not getting another Mac. After putting all the money into this Mac, I know the new ones are good, but the whole thing about a Mac is like you're paying for their contained, stable environment. Like PCs, you can modify. If this was a PC, I could swap out the graphics card and do something, mess with it, but it's not. It's all sewn up. It's supposed to be controlled and stable, and for them not to stand behind their product with such a widespread issue, not being able to hook it up to an external monitor without doing wildly inefficient CPU shit, like it's bullshit. So yeah, it won't be another laptop at all. It won't be a Mac. So I'll be looking for some sort of PC tower that works with the monitor that I have and the other equipment that I have as best as possible. So if you've got good recommendations about computers in a sort of mid-tier, I guess, let me know on social media or in the comments of the video. But yeah, I can't with Apple again, man. I can't. It's brutal. So I'll have to look into it. I'll ask Quinn. I mean, he's the man for that stuff. So Alienware. Yeah, I'm not getting another iPhone either. I hate the one that I have. Yeah, the GPU is, the way that it uses the GPU is really inefficient. It's bullshit. And birds aren't real. What do you mean? Cleo, you're not a robot, girl. Cleo's not a drone. Of course, that's like a gag conspiracy meme. Rest in peace, Bob Saget. What? Oh, man. It's my surrogate father. My childhood. Wow. Shout out to Bob Saget. Of Full House and Half-Baked fame. Yes, his Half-Baked cameo was one for the ages. Do the Florents have any role to play? Besides flapping their big ears around? I don't think so. I mean, not that I know of offhand, but their sigil is interesting. The Florent is a red fox with 12 blue roses, which is basically Azor Ahai, Night's Queen symbolism. The blue roses are Lyanna symbolism, which means Night's Queen symbolism, Winter Queen. The circle makes it a lunar halo, just like Lyanna's rose crown. And then that red fox is in the middle. That's Azor Ahai, putting his fiery dragon seed into the bloodline of the others, into the cold womb of Night's Queen. So the fox is surrounded by the blue flowers. It's the same thing of Rhaegar's black lance that had the rose crown around it, and then he set it in Lyanna's lap. This is sexual symbolism here. The lance penetrating the rose circle. Okay, so the Florence sigil is a continuation of that. I'm not sure what George is doing with the Florence. It's one of those ones where it's a minor side house whose symbolism is being used to complement more important things. So I'd have to read the scenes with the Florence, and I'm sure one of them, it's using that. But can we get a confirmation on Bob Saget, just so I'm not spreading rumors? I want to make sure I'm not. A great man. Yeah. Okay, well, rest in peace then. The house is a little less full tonight. Dry as tear. Yeah. Well, there you go. I was definitely raised on Full House, so that does mean something to me. All right, guys. Well, last call for questions, and then I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, watch that Warriors game. And now his watch has ended. Yes, thank you. Cool. Well, we don't need to spill the whole TMZ article in the chat, but you can go check that out if you want to get the story on that. Greyways Tim is pointing out we should maybe consider Florence symbolism with Shireen. Potentially the burning scene that's coming up. So, yeah, that could be. I'll have to think about that, Greyways Tim. You're right. That's the main character who's essentially Florent, is Selyse and Shireen. So thanks a lot, guys. And those of you on the rewatch who might be sending in PayPal donations, thank you as well. And if you have, feel free to attach a question to your PayPal, even if it's not during the stream. I will just save them and answer them on Wednesday or whenever the next stream is. So whatever you send to PayPal, feel free to attach a question, and I will get to it. In some ways, that's almost better, because then I can think about it before the stream and maybe even prepare something. So, guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate the support today. I was really upset. Like I said, I almost didn't stream, and you guys have had my back, and it really does mean a lot. And yeah, so now I've got a little more of a way out of this problem. So really appreciate it. And I will see you again on Wednesday, same time, 3 p.m., and we'll go ahead and talk about Qarth and Vaes Dothrak. So, love you all, and happy Sunday.